Are you tired of staring at a blank screen on your fish finder this winter? We've all been there. But what if I told you your lake holds hidden gold mines of big bass, just waiting to be discovered? In this video, we will unlock the secrets to pinpointing those elusive winter holding spots, transforming your winter fishing struggles into success. What's up, folks? Sean, the Average Angler, coming at you with another great video. And man, I got out with a buddy of mine yesterday. We went to a new lake, and man, was it worth it. We're going to talk about that today and what we had to do to catch fish, because honestly, I think we had 2 bites in the first probably 5 hours of the day. One on a glide bait, which I ended up losing, and I'll put the clip in right here.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Where's that at?
In the step on the left side.
Where?
The step. No, open the step. Yep. It's on the left side. Silver plier handles. Oh, that one.
What you doing on?
Glide bait.
Glide bait?
Yep.
Get out of here. Good one?
Oh, he just pulled off.
And then the second one was on a jig, on a kind of an obvious type of spot, if you will. This is a lake that doesn't have a whole lot of stuff. There are some tule reeds. They're extremely shallow. I went up a couple points, tried to get up there to see if we could flip some fish, just in case that was a possibility. We hit bottom. Too shallow for that. So with that in mind, if you're new to the channel, you like this kind of content, hit that subscribe button down there. Join the Average Angler community, where we do a free giveaway, tackle giveaway, every month. Appreciate it. Thanks for clicking on the video. Just dissecting a lake and trying to figure out what's going on, we got to do multiple things. And really, if you're in a boat, you're in a kayak, you're out on the water, this really becomes much easier than for the bank angler. And we'll talk about the bank angler too. First, we must think of a food source. What are the fish eating? 2, is there any current in this body of water? And then cover and structure. What does the lake have to offer? Okay, it's wintertime. There's not a lot of grass going on right now in my area because it dies off in the winter. It's pretty typical here. And some of these lakes can become featureless, if you will. So you got to start thinking about other things like hard structure, okay? Whether it be rock piles, ledges, some sort of edge, if there's man-made edge created there. And then depth. How deep do we have, and what depth do the fish want to be in? Well, one of the quickest ways to kind of find this out, honestly, is side imaging. Side imaging gives you the advantage of covering wide distances out both sides of the boat, and you can quickly scour lakes and find different types of features in them. Now, I get it. A lot of people don't like doing it. I'm a guy who doesn't get to fish near as often as I'd like to, and maybe some of you even less than me. So the thought of driving the boat around, idling, looking at structure or your graph, yeah, a lot of us don't want to do it. But I assure you, it's well worth doing it, because it's the only way you're going to find these little hidden gems. Now, if you're a bank angler, you're really kind of limited to reading the features of the surrounding landscape to help us pick out areas that might be a little different. And typically that's what we're looking for, is something a little different. Now, it does become more challenging, like I said, for the bank angler. And a lot of times one of the best ways to do it is with a good 3/4 ounce jig, cover some water, pick some features that look unique to you. However, the downside is a lot of the good stuff that I find, you'd never know it by looking at the bank. So I do love a swing head for this. 3/4 ounce swing head really transfers a lot of the bottom to you, so you kind of can feel it out. see what's there. Okay, once we determine the type of lake, we can pinpoint that lake's hidden gem. Like I said, we're going to be considering grass, tules, trees, creek channels, points, ledges, rock piles. Okay, now if we have current, which way is the current going? We want to look for some of these features on the current areas because that's going to position fish to feed. Now, if we can find those, I'm pretty sure you're going to find that gold mine you're looking for. And a lot of times, guys, it's just really about figuring out, getting the thought process in our head to think about it. Think about current first. Current is always going to position fish regardless of conditions. Now, conditions will affect things, and that's more or less going to get into bait choices and options. But if we know where current is, that will help us pick an area of the lake to try and target. Really narrow it down that way to pick an area and try and find some more active fish. Whereas in the areas that don't have current, typically they're going to be a little less active. Some places may not have any current, and then it kind of opens the whole lake up, and we kind of need to look around at a topographical map or zoom out on your GPS. If you have a card or a chip in your graph, you can see the structure lines. A lot of times what I look for is where those lines get really close together rather than the ones that are really spread out. I'm looking for ledges, drop-offs. It's something that I really like to fish this time of year, and if you find some of that, especially in current areas, those are going to be some gold mines.
Someone's coming over to look at it.
Yep. He didn't ground when he ate it.
He went right. That was right away. That's pretty quick, huh?
Popped it over a rock and he clubbed it.
Part of the reason I really like this kind of stuff is because typically where you have this, it's rocky, it's hard, it's an edge. Bass love edges. They can pin bait up against edges. Crawdads tend to be around edges. The other thing that uses edges, bait fish. A lot of bait fish eat algae off of rocks and different things, or plankton in the water, which is pretty common. Where that algae's at, there's going to be plankton and other things for the bait fish to eat. So there's a lot of options to the food source there. That's why these areas are so good. Okay, so on this lake we fished yesterday, we fished around and graphed around quite a bit. We actually find quite a bit of good stuff. Not all of it was productive. I think part of that was because where I caught the second fish, this one here, this is an area that is typically has some current. And there has been some current there according to my deep dive app that I've been looking at past few days. It said there was some water running through this area. Well, when I got there, I went and checked both ends and there was no water pushing through. So, and you could see because the stuff on top of the water wasn't moving. So everything was pretty stagnant. Well, the downside of that is when you have an area that's had current, those fish typically are going to be a little more chill out and relaxed. They're waiting for current. Maybe there's power generation and it only turns on Monday through Friday. Whatever it might be, these fish get tuned into it. And, you know, it affects their feeding patterns and affects us, the fishermen. So in that case, we need to go and look for some other areas. This is one of my favorite hats, guys. If you can't tell, it's kind of weathered, a little faded. I've had it a long time. Brado's Marina. I used to have a house right down the street, and I got a couple of these hats from them. To be honest, the area that we caught the majority of our fish, and unfortunately the GoPro battery died on me shortly after we figured it out. We got a few fish catches there that you'll get to see.
You got one? What?
Ned rig.
That's I just spent all the time tying on a Ned rig.
Yeah, good one, good. Let's go.
Nice. Straight out in front of the boat?
Yeah. That's a clobber.
Yeah, I think there's a load of them there. What do you have on it?
Yeah. That's a good one, baby.
Oh, that little, what is that thing?
Ned rig. It's just
Yeah,
a big,
what
it's a big
what
net.
brand is that? Z-Man?
Z-Man, yeah.
Oh. Nice.
We're down now.
But the bite just got better and better as we were kind of dialing it in. Interestingly enough, we had started there in the morning. It was something I spotted on the map. I thought that looks really good right there. Let's go check that out. It's got everything I'm looking for in one little area. And everything I'm looking for, folks, what it was when I looked on the map, there's a lot of transitional depth changes. Went down, came up, went down, came up, and in all kinds of different directions. It's really kind of an odd little thing, odd little scenario that you don't see all the time. But those kinds of things will stand out on a good topographical map or your GPS if you have the chip. And that lake's included in it. I have some, like my home lake isn't included in it, so I don't get the depth ranges in 1 foot increments. That's kind of important in helping us find these things without going over them. Now, of course, if you're going over them and you're idling, using side imaging, it's going to show a whole lot of stuff. And we really just want to keep going until we find something that really jumps out at us to find these gold mines. Something that's just a little bit different. You might catch a fish or two off of it, but typically those are not the ones that are holding the groups of fish. And what we had found was an area that had some really deep water near it, relatively speaking, for the lake, in the 20s, in the 20 some odd feet. And then it came up through some rock and up onto a flat that was like 8 or 9 feet. And the fish were just cycling up and down, feeding. And you couldn't see them a lot of times because they were in the rocks. But every once in a while on the forward-facing sonar, if you just kept it positioned there for a bit, you'd see them move. Okay, you just see this little blob come up over a rock, go up over the other one, then sit down. Now, I just say sitting down because I don't really know what else to call it. I imagine the fish moving up, going over the rock, and going back into hiding. But they'll keep doing it, keep working their way up. In these situations, now we've found a place. Now we need to decide on baits. Well, because these fish were glued to the bottom, they weren't moving around a whole lot. The baits were pretty obvious. And then bottom bouncing baits, right? You could do a Carolina rig. You could do a shaky head. You could do a jig. You could do a underspin chatterbait if you're in shallower water, and crankbaits. In this case, the crankbait wasn't really playing because the depth change would have been really hard. Okay, it was a pretty steep drop. And sometimes the crankbait will work really well coming over that initial drop. But these fish weren't moving around a whole lot. They weren't real active. There was no, per se, bait around. Although I know I got bass thumb. They had very sharp teeth. You hear me say something about it in one of the clips.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's not light. It's a pretty good size head.
Yeah, this is the only net I fish. Is that the biggest one they have, and then the big net. I don't fish that small one ever. I did when they first came out, and I tried one of these. They got bit. Yeah, for deep and stuff. I feel like I get bigger bites with the fucking big one though.
The bigger head?
Just the bigger worm and the bigger head.
Yeah.
Or are they still kind of heavy? Had the frog on it. My pitcher, I lost them when I fucking flipped my kayak, dude. Those are like some of my original rods.
That purple one's not real light. That black one is. But
okay.
The black one was... Oh, fuck. That's a freaking good one. The way he was biting and I thought it was a rat.
Oh, yeah, dude.
It's not as big as yours,
Yeah,
but...
that's a good fish. Did you bite it when you were moving it, or?
Yeah, he's bit it like fucking 5 or 6 times. That's why I was like, it's got to be a little one. Every time he bites it, my rod's way up in the air, so I freaking tried to reel set on him several times. Well, no, it is.
Which means typically they're eating bait, not crawdads. As they eat crawdads or rooting around, it'll start to dull their teeth down. We selected net head, shaky head, and a jig. And we caught fish on all 3 of them. Now, part of the other thing was narrowing down a color and finding a color that would work best. Well, did we find it? I don't know if we found the one that would work best, but we found one that was working well. We experimented a little bit, kept going back to it. So, to me, that was the proper choice for the bait.
Oh, the teeth in that fucker. Sharp ass teeth. He wasn't going nowhere. He's hooked good.
If you have fish moving around, you see them swimming around, there's bait in the area, the fish are active. Now that opens it up for us to try a lot of other things. And by the way, we did try a swing head too, and no bites on the swing head. Bottom bouncing, but moving. These fish did not really seem to want it moving too much. I mean, we were moving the bait, but we were letting the bait sit too. So if you have the bait there and the fish are active, that's when a crankbait becomes really, really deadly. You could throw a swim bait, underspin, A-rig, swing head, start getting your moving baits going to prey on the activity of the fish. Unfortunately, we didn't have those real active fish. We had to go with the bottom bouncing baits. No problem. Hey, catching fish is the goal after all, right? So we did what we needed to do. So once you find these things, if you run out of daylight like we did, it was late, had to get off the water and head home. Next time you go out, try and expand on it. Start thinking about different angles and things like that, casting to the area, because certain angles will produce much better than others. I don't know what it is about the fish, but I just know that casting angles and return angles, retrieve angles, make a big deal to the fish. You may think it's all the same, but it's not. We tried going uphill, the same area, and a lot of times uphill is the deal. These fish did not want to touch it coming uphill. It always had to be coming downhill. But we were able to catch fish from several different sides of this, just by moving around and trying things out. Now, I spot locked for quite a bit, because when you get bit, you spot lock, try and dial in on some things, get a feel for what's going on. Why was that fish there? And then we can try and translate it to some others. So as we moved around and looking at this thing on the forward facing, I started to clue in to, I needed the screen to look a certain way with the edges and stuff coming off the rocks, and those were places that I could get bit. Same area, mind you. It's just the baits had to be coming down things in a certain fashion. I don't know why. I can just tell you what I learned, and that was that it had to be coming down that stuff the same way. Now what to do is to go out and look for more of this type of stuff. Now I know what they're sitting on. I need to go find some more of this. Once we find 3, 4, 5, 6 of these, now you can just bounce from one to another, and we've kind of learned this lake and know where to go when fish are on this type of structure. Now, all of these things can change with rising and lowering water, right? Water comes up, all of a sudden these tulies become a thing over here and they're in 3 foot of water. My experience says those fish are going to go to them. Okay, I don't care what time of year it is. They will get into cover. Bass love cover. Not all of them, but you have your bass that love to be in the cover. The glide bait fish was in about 2.5 foot of water. Okay, it was 39 degrees outside when that fish bit, and foggy, you could see from the video. So don't discount things. That was probably one of those fish that wants to be up in there. It's also an easier place to chase bait. That fish might have been a fish that followed, swam, looked for bait, and he may have been up there looking for bait. Either way, I would have loved to have got him in the boat. Really cool to get a glide bait bite. First one of the year, by the way. So I was pretty stoked about that. Hope this helped, guys. If you have any questions, drop it below. Hype the video if you're still here. I really appreciate it. Sean the Average Angler. We'll see you on the next one.